Welcome, folks, to this week's edition of Impact News. Folks, guess what? Now flying a Black Lives Matter or Pride flag can get you ejected from the Catholic fold. Oh, I guess all that talk about Jesus didn't mean a thing now, did it? This is happening at the Massachusetts, it's in the state of Massachusetts, at the Nativity School, okay? The Roman Catholic bishop there says the multicultural Nativity School of Worcester can no longer call itself Catholic because it is supporting movements that he says are inconsistent with Catholic teaching. Excuse me? Oh, yes, folks. The bishop goes on to say that the gay pride flag supports the LGBTQ lifestyle, and the church's position is that marriage is only between a man and a woman. As for Black Lives Matter, well, the bishop says the Black Lives Matter movement, are you ready for this? Quote, this is a quote, it seeks to disrupt the family structure. Now the school can no longer identify as Catholic. It can't celebrate Mass or the sacraments. It can't be listed in the directory of the diocese. Can't fundraise with the diocese. As for the school, though, kudos to it. The school president says the Nativity School will continue to operate as it always has, okay? It will continue to fly the flags to give visible witness to the school's solidarity with their students, their families, and their communities. Kudos, folks. The school is independently funded. They don't need that crazy Catholic money and receives no money from the diocese, okay? Fortunately for them, keep moving. You know, I thought human rights mattered, but apparently not, because then you have to realize who we're dealing with. I don't mean to insult you if you are a Catholic, but this is still really silly, okay? Because remember, the Catholics had the worst child molestation scandal, certainly in the history of this country. And of course, how many of those churches or schools have been kicked out of the Catholic fold? It's just nothing but just abject hypocrisy. We see you, Catholics. We see you, the church. Stop it. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Now we have your headlines for you for the week. Okay, folks, what happens to civilization if men, that's right, folks, cannot make babies? That's what's on the horizon. Plus, more LGBTQ attacks, we'll tell you about them. Plus, African-American firearm ownership, it is up. Then Barbados says it's time for wealthy nations to pay up. Plus, the vanishing Rio Grande River. Also, we have some good news, finally, for the climate. And then the work of Black playwrights on Broadway. Stay with me. So, our men now have falling sperm counts. Yes, you heard me correctly. Falling sperm counts, all due to alarming levels of chemical pollutants that are being found in male urine samples, and it is serious, folks. These chemicals are endocrine disruptors, and what they do is reduce human fertility. Now, one of the most common chemicals found was bisphenols, or BPA, primarily used in the manufacturing of those plastics you love so much, okay? Bisphenol and dioxins were present at levels up to 100 times those considered safe. Sperm quantity and quality, you should know, in Western countries it has been declining. It has been not only declining, but more than halved in the last 40 years. Meanwhile, other reproductive health issues and reproductive health disorders have also been on the rise, and those include non-descending testes and testicular cancer. Okay, keep on using that plastic. In politics, the right-wingers are pushing hard on anti-LGBTQ attacks in Idaho. Police arrested 31 members of a white supremacist group. They were packed into the back of a U-Haul on their way to a pride event in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. In California, a crew of Proud Boys interrupted a drag queen event, screaming transphobic and homophobic insults. In Texas, a group of right-wingers screamed abuse and threatened attendees at an adults-only drag brunch. And that was just in one weekend, people. Stop. Oh, this is just pathetic, the meanness out here. Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, not to be outdone by anyone who's going for that old hate button, okay? He's on a tear, signing and proposing controversial anti-LGBTQ measures. But as usual, the right-wingers and Republicans are at odds with the general population. A survey by the Public Religion Research Institute, it found that 76% of Americans surveyed, including 62% of Republicans, favor laws that would protect LGBTQ Americans from discrimination in housing, on jobs, and in public accommodation. President Biden appears to also understand that. He signed an executive order aimed at curbing discrimination against transgender youth and drying up federal funding for the discredited practice of conversion therapy. Okay, we're on the case now. All right, African-American firearm ownership, folks, it's up. It's due to the rise in hate crimes and all the anti-black vitriol out there. There was a 58% increase in black people who purchased firearms in 2020, and the rise is continuing, and it's not just the men. You should know that. In the first quarter of 2021, get this, 90% of gun retailers reported a general increase of black customers, including an 87% increase in African-American women who are going to buy guns. Now, do they really need them? Well, the FBI says anti-black hate crimes rose nearly 40% in 2020. Folks, that makes African Americans the most besieged racial group by a large margin. That's why they're getting the guns. So keep up the silliness and the madness, haters, because this is it's going to get out of control if we're not careful. All right, now, a new report shows black Americans aged 65 and older are 3 times more likely to die from diseases related to pollution exposure, 3 times more likely than white Americans of the same age. Now, it's all in a report by the nonprofit group, the Environmental Defense Fund, which I'm sure you've heard of. It's discussing the consequences of environmental racism. Among those over 65, black people experience a death rate of 670 per 100,000, whereas the death rate for whites of the same age is only 210. For Latinos, it's 260. And that's because tiny bits of pollution are so small, folks, that once they're inhaled, they penetrate deep down into your lungs. Yes, they do. And into your body. And they cause serious health problems. We're talking about heart and lung diseases and even cancer, and eventually can result in death. So we have to get the climate under control. Okay, we just have to. Now, let's look at the Caribbean. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley, she lays the blame for climate change on the wealthy nations and says it's long past time for them to ante up for some of the resources to help smaller countries who aren't as hard on the climate, the Western nations need to ante up and start paying for that, okay? She is demanding resources to help Barbados adapt to climate change, saying, this is very serious, folks. Mottley says 2 degrees of warming is a death sentence, folks, for some small islands and developing nations. The Caribbean island nation of Barbados is about 3/4 the size of Chicago. And we all know that, of course, that's where Rihanna comes from, okay? Barbados is facing rising sea levels, which threaten the water supply and encroach on coastal communities. Yet Barbados accounts for less than 0.1%, folks. That's right, of global carbon dioxide emissions. Yes, we do need to pay up to these other countries because we're putting all the mess out there. They got to suffer for it. That's not fair. Okay. Now, let's look at heat. It is the #1 weather-related killer in the United States. Okay, let's go to Phoenix, Arizona, which is the hottest city in America. I don't know if you knew that. Last year, there were 338 heat-related deaths in Maricopa County. That's where Phoenix is located, okay? And we should also tell you that a Portland State University professor found that areas that underwent redlining, that's right, those areas were consistently hotter than other areas. Who's surprised? Well, these people are so terrible. Redlined areas tend to have lots of concrete and asphalt. You know what they've got? They've got the highways, they've got the freeways, they've got the big box stores, and they've got the industrial parks and industrial facilities. And as a result, these areas are also the hottest areas within cities. Folks, sometimes they're as much as 18 degrees Fahrenheit hotter, okay? And that's outdoors. Indoors is even hotter than that. That's pretty bad. If you live in one of these areas, here's one low-budget thing that you can and you must do, and that is seal the gaps around your doors with foam tape. So that's keeping the heat that's outside from coming in and keeping whatever coolness you have inside from going out. So you have to do that. Now let's turn to the Rio Grande River, where it's vanishing due to global warming. It's flowing, of course, as you know, that Rio Grande flows out of the Colorado Rockies. It streams from south central Colorado through New Mexico and on to form the border between Texas and Mexico, and then it empties into the Gulf of Mexico about 1,900 miles later. Well, rising temperatures and an unprecedented drought are posing a grave risk to this very important river and its ecosystems, and experts are now predicting that the Rio Grande is going to dry up completely all the way to Albuquerque this summer, and that is for the first time since the 1980s. The West is going through its most severe drought in 1,200 years. There are 6 million people and countless birds and mammals and reptiles. All of them depend on that Rio Grande River. Fortunately, there is some good news for the climate, okay? From France, a new law there mandates green roofs on all new commercial buildings. Now, green roofs are good because the United States Environmental Protection Agency says they help with the temperature reduction and energy efficiency. As a matter of fact, temperatures on green roofs, folks, they can be 30 to 40 degrees colder than conventional roofs, and they can lower citywide temperatures by 5 degrees. So that is important, okay? Let's go to Mexico, where the number of eastern monarch butterflies, those butterflies are coming back, folks. I love monarch butterflies, but they're coming back. And now monarchs cover 35% more ground in the mountain forests of central Mexico than they did just last year. And that is the word from the World Wildlife Fund. Monarchs are very important pollinators, and you know what that means. When they pollinate, we eat. When they don't pollinate, we don't eat. So just bear that in mind. All right. Now, also, there's some good news from United Airlines because it's pledging to have all flights out of Amsterdam use what they call sustainable aviation fuel. Now, as part of United Airlines' pledge to be carbon neutral by 2050, the airline is buying 52.5 million gallons of sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF. It's going to go towards fueling every single United airplane that leaves from Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport over the next 3 years, and we hope that other airlines will quickly follow suit, okay? And finally today, for the first time, this is amazing, 7 Black playwrights have their shows running on Broadway. Isn't that fantastic? If you were thinking about going and seeing something on Broadway, oh, maybe I'll go. 7 Black playwrights have shows running on Broadway. And of course, this news does come after we know that many have pushed for more diversity there on and off the stage. I'm Carol Angela Davis. That's your news. Stay with me. I've got Ask Dr. K, the International Report, Crypto Convos, Missing, and the Slay Word. Stay with me. The Slay Word of the Week this week, folks, because you know what, I'm always trying to help you level up that vocab, and I'm always leveling up my vocab. The Slay Word this week is scission. S-C-I-S-S-I-O-N, scission. It is a noun, which means it's a person, place, or thing. Its origin, well, its first known use was in the 15th century, coming from the Latin. Now, what does it mean? It is an action or process of cutting, dividing, or splitting. It is the state of being cut, being divided, or being split up, all right? We'll use it in 2 sentences. Hopefully the growing scission, oh yes, in the Republican Party will mean trouble, that's right, at the ballot box for those MAGA Republicans, and I'll just leave it at that because I'll say something really bad if I keep going. All right, also, sentence number 2, there are fears that the scission of the labor union will compromise the workers' bargaining power. Well, we know unions are important, so let's pull everything together. Folks, that's your Slay Word of the Week, scission. It is a noun, and it means the state of being cut, divided, or split. Use it all week and level up your vocab.
I'm Otha Smith, CEO and founder of Tetragram, a mobile app for cannabis consumers to keep track of the products they purchase, rate the effectiveness of that product, and then share those personal reviews with others. I'm here today at Marion Main Dispensary in Capitol Heights, Maryland, owned and operated by my homegirl, Hope Wiseman. Please download the Tetragram app today and take control of your personal journey with cannabis.
Where are you? Folks, we've been doing the same segment of missing for several weeks now because the authorities tell us they are very close to solving this case. So we're going to give it to you one more time. And with the community's help, we are going to find our missing African-American girls. 27-year-old Raja McQueen was last seen in her vehicle at a Cleveland, Ohio gas station in June of 2021. She was reportedly in the passenger seat of her 2018 silver Nissan Sentra. Raja is the mother of 2 sons. Raja McQueen is 5'7" tall, weighs about 135 pounds, has black or dark brown hair and brown eyes. Her car's license plate number is JGH3953. That is the license plate number for her silver Nissan Sentra. That plate again, JGH3953. Crime Stoppers is offering a $5,000 reward. Call Cleveland Police at 216-623-5418. That number again, 216-623-5418 if you have any information about Raja McQueen's disappearance. Where are you? We're out there looking for you, working alongside the authorities who are looking for you, and with the community's help, we will find you and solve this case. We're back at you with the International Report, and we're here with Dr. Inyang Ebong-Harstrup. Hey, Eni, how are you?
I'm fine, Carol. How are you?
Well, I'm good. Just hoping that the world is not as crazy as we think it is it?
Well, my story today is not a great one. We're spending excessive amounts on arming ourselves. I have a report from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute that was published, and it's saying that the world military spending tops 2 trillion for the first time in 7 years. They've been recording this expenditure, and the first time in 7 years, it's topped 2 trillion. And it's reached the 2 trillion mark. And who are the offenders? The United States, China, India, Russia, the United Kingdom. And together, these 5 powers account for 62% of the global expenditure, according to this new data that's been published. Russia, of course, we know they invaded Ukraine, and their spending has just gone up by 2.9% to the 3rd year of consecutive growth, and it's now 65.9 billion. And on we go. The countries in Europe, in NATO, they are increasing their weaponry. And you know, the United States outstripped any other nation with 801 billion. It actually went down somewhat, but still it outstrips everybody else. China, the world's 2nd largest military spender, at an estimated 293 billion, boosted its expenditure by 4.7% for the 27th straight year in a row. So you see, these countries are just increasing and increasing and increasing. And you know, Carol, with this much military hardware in the arsenal, it has to be used. That's all I'm going to say. It has to be used.
And therein lies the thing. It has to be used. So war. It's just really, really unfortunate. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Inyang Ebong-Harstrup, with your international report. And we'll see you next week. I'm Carol Angela Davis. Okay, we're back with your crypto convos. You know, we come to you every week telling you the state of the crypto market, which is crazy right now. Lionel, what do you have for us?
Yes, it is very crazy right now. It's still going pretty much sideways from last week. Bitcoin is still 20K. And today I just wanted to talk a little bit about the state of the market and about how we should be thinking about this mentally, and also a little bit about a bit of a conspiracy theory that I heard that's been going around inside the crypto space. And so people are saying that this drop in Bitcoin falling from 65K to 20K might have been engineered by the whales, the majority owners, the billionaires who actually have control of these currencies. And for that being that when the market crashes and those who did come in at 45K and 60K, thinking that Bitcoin will go to 100K, that we will now sell our coins to them. And then when the Ukraine war is over, when inflation evens back out, when gas prices come back down and the market does recover, they will have then made a whole lot of money. You know, like they always say, every recession is an opportunity for the wealthy to double their funds to make even more money than they already do have, while everyone else is panicking and while everyone else is, you know, cutting pennies and stuff. So what we try to do,
Lionel, sadly, I have to say, we all know how greedy these billionaires are. Nothing would surprise me.
Yep. So if you can, you know, hang in there or buy a little bit of something and hold for 5 years, 6 years, if need be, you know, because no recession ever does last forever. It always does come back around. It's just a matter of time.
Thank you so much, Lotto. And listen, folks, let's face it. Just, you know, as the crypto comes down, because we know we're going to have crypto, they got it all over the world. So crypto comes down, your little $100, $50, $25 just can buy more. So you just have to just only spend what you can. And as he said, buy and hold. And of course, we're not giving you crypto advice. We're just telling you what Lionel's doing, because I do what Lionel does. Thanks, Lionel. I'm Carol Angela Davis, Lionel the Builder's Up with your weekly crypto convo, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, Lionel.
Thank you.
Oh, we're back and we're closing out the show with Ask Dr. K. As you know, Dr. K. Dave is an anesthesiologist practicing for over 30 years. So you know she knows what you're talking about. Welcome, Dr. K.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Carol, I have to sound the alarm today on uterine cancer. Colon cancer is the most prevalent cancer in women, not breast, but uterine cancer is rapidly overtaking colon cancer. And like other cancers, women of African descent are dying from uterine cancer at almost triple the rate of Caucasians. Yes, let's talk about it. You know, I believe that food is our medicine, and medicine can hopefully never be our food, but it can be. But anyway, some people are going to get uterine cancer no matter what. But let's talk about dietary factors that are affecting this increase in uterine cancer. Because uterine cancer is one of what is called the nutrition-based cancers. Breast cancer, colon cancer, uterine cancer. These are based on the current nutrition that we are eating. So right now, what are the risk factors for uterine cancer? Number one, obesity. Weight control is far more than looks. Weight control is essential to our good health. Obesity causes cancer. Obesity, adipose cells, which are fat cells, adipose cells make estrogen. So therefore, we've got another source of estrogen coming in that is not coming from our ovaries. This source of estrogen is a carcinogen. So anytime we have fat cells, we have estrogen producing cells. The rise of breast cancer is upon us. People who are in remission from breast cancer are taking tamoxifen. Tamoxifen is a source of estrogen, and therefore tamoxifen use increases uterine cancer. Fibroid uteruses are very common in our community. And when you have fibroids and they scan your uterus, they can't always see the smaller changes that come with uterine cancer. So therefore, having fibroids kind of doesn't increase the risk of uterine cancer, but it makes it so the diagnosis is harder to make and sometimes missed. Milk is from a cow. Cows are fed a tremendous amount of hormones in order to produce that milk. So when we are drinking milk from a cow, we are increasing the amount of estrogen that we're taking in. If you're postmenopausal and you begin bleeding, please go see your OBGYN. In all cases, we really have to advocate for ourselves because these can be missed. Ladies, if it doesn't seem right, it's not right.
Thank you so much, Dr. K. That's why she's here every week, bringing you this very important information. I'm Carol Angela Davis. From all of us here at Impact News, we thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, Dr. K.
Thanks for having me.